Welcome back, guys. We're here in a group session. Oh my God, that sounded wrong.
Wow, group session now, huh?
Nick and Jacob, the full Tangents crew, are here for
Hell
the
yeah.
first time. What's going on, guys?
Not much, are you, buddy?
Happy Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
happy
we got through
Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. All right. Well, we are here to discuss the first episode of season 2 of Last of Us. Now, I don't know if there's going to be any strong opinions, but we're definitely going to be discussing spoilers and parallels to the video game. So you have been warned officially. You know how we
Yeah.
play.
If
Now,
not, get out.
now I'm going to ask you guys, what did you think about the choice of the opening scene, going back to the first ending?
I mean, it's necessary because you kind of need to know, like, obviously it was a nice little short sweet where they just kind of literally just paused, kind of gave you like the last 10 seconds of like, basically, are you lying to me? Is that the truth? And he's like, yeah. And then we're all like, oh, he's lying.
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
moves to the 4 years later. Well, no, it
5 years later.
It shows Abby.
Yeah,
It shows
they
Abby
actually show her, super early because, and apparently, and I even read up on this, they wanted to show her early just because I guess the timeline of the games would just not fit TV-wise, whatnot. So
Mhm.
I didn't mind it, like showing her a little bit early, so we kind of get the gist of like, okay, what's going to be going on this season.
I wished that they didn't show Abby till the very end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wish that they didn't have that whole intro part. Like, now maybe they're trying to do that so that you could build sympathy, because it's like we don't want the first thing to show you is her being like, all right, let's kill someone slowly. But
yeah,
possibly.
Well, what I was gonna say is, I do think it was a good idea to introduce her, showing that there was a group of fireflies that responded to the hospital, saw like the destruction there, just to introduce all the characters at the same time. Because differently in the game, we are introduced to Abby on, but the way it happens is like really coincidental.
yeah,
I felt like the second game had the plot used a lot of just convenient happenstance moments to involve key players to move the story forward. Um, so I'm hoping they learn their lesson, and
yeah.
the fact that this show has one writer and one director, I think they have a good shot, because I think that was one of the reasons. And this is just me saying, but I think the second game's fault is that it had multiple stories that they wanted to tell, and I felt like throughout the game they were conflicting with each other. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, illuminative narrative dissonance. I think that's how I'm saying it. I'm gonna mess that phrase up. Or basically, it's like violence is bad, but then like the gameplay is basically to have you instead like reward violence. It's like, okay, I'm a little conflicted here. Illuminative narrative dissonance. There we go.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm trying to say with the English language. Yeah, and well, I'll say right off the bat, like, I don't know if you want some highlights I'd like so far about season 2. It is pretty honorable and it's pretty close. So like almost like shot for shot, with how like beat for beat, like on how the game is, and I think that was really like kind of refreshing to see, and it also feels like did something happen?
Yeah, he said, and now he's swaying back and forth. I don't know if he froze.
It looks like he froze a little bit.
Yeah, he froze. I think he's frozen. I think your statement is shocking.
It was.
Yeah. I think that would have worked too, like with the intro. Like, if they didn't show Abby at the beginning, showing her at the end where they're in, the snow gear, that could have been just perfect if they cut the first part out and then just cut, that in. Therapist where she's like the way you killed my husband, nice and slow. I'm like, okay, they're really pushing the house is going to go down. This is going to be a slow burn type deal coming up.
I actually did like the therapist in the fact that she's like, yeah, I'm your therapist, but you also killed my husband. And it's like,
I was confused.
I was like,
I was like, what the hell is her husband? Because they changed it from the game. Because he was saying, like,
Yeah.
he died on screen of old age. So when he said, hey, you killed my husband, I'm like, who the hell did he kill? Like, it was just a little confusing, but then it's like, oh.
I know. I had the same reaction because as I was watching it, I'm like, no, like Joel never killed Eugene. Like I had to look it up real quick. And as I was watching it, and I found the same thing. Like, no, he died of like old age. But I don't know. I'm curious to see why they decided to go this route, having Joel kill Eugene in this show's universe. Like, I know that's gonna. I know eventually they're gonna have an episode introducing Eugene.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But Jacob, like I'm kind of with you. Like I think it's a good idea, at least in this setting, to have some sort of like a counselor or a life coach in a post-apocalyptic world, just to keep people centered or keep people like used to their sense of humanity. Like, hey, it's okay to feel these things, but we have ways that we can move on. I think that was interesting to choose Adam O'Hara though.
Oh
yeah,
I loved it.
I did, but it did seem like a brand choice. It seemed like she's a hot name right now. Let's put her in this and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I got no problem with her, but it does seem a little bit like more of a publicity thing rather than this was the absolute best choice that we wanted to go with. Because here's what I'll say on the flip side. Dina, whoever's cast as Dina, I think a fantastic choice.
Yeah.
I think she is arguably one of the best cast choices so far. Just from episode 1. It's been one episode, and I'm like, I already like this performance. Like, this is fantastic.
Same.
And even Jesse,
Yeah.
like I like Jesse's cast too. And they're
great.
right now. So
I hope that they utilize Jesse's character in the show more than they utilize his character in the game. I think he's kind of like one of the characters. I mean, not just for that, but you know, for obvious reasons, I just felt like he was a pretty good like role model for like the other younger kids at Jackson, and I felt that they could have shown more scenes like at least in the game. Like they could have utilized his character a little bit more than just convenient showing up and then helping, but not being able to help. So, but yeah, we'll see. I do like the casting choice so far. But I will say, like going back to Abby real quick, I am so excited. Like Nick, I was telling you, like I'm so stoked that Glenn Deaver is actually in the show because she was the person I would have chosen to play Ellie. One, because I think she looks more the type.
Well,
and
you
also,
heard that she
I know that the age
years
choice.
ago she actually auditioned for Ellie, right? You heard about that, right?
I don't think I did hear about that. Actually.
Yeah, so she did one of those like carpet interviews with someone, and she said years ago before they did the Last of Us TV show, they're talking about doing like a Last of Us movie, I guess. And she said she did like a casting thing, and she did some line reading or whatever. It was like one of those call-ins or whatnot where she was going to try to go for Ellie, but she said it just didn't pan out. So she says it's kind of interesting how it all came full circle for her, how she's now like on the TV show as Abby, whatnot.
I actually like her as Abby. I think she could be pretty good. Now I was trying to see if if they did that first scene maybe like a year ago, and then I'm like, did they just jack her up? Like, did they have her work for like a year and try to have her gain mass?
I thought she looked a little bit more beefy towards the end of the episode, unless just her coat that she was wearing, because
I want John Cena Abby. I want
roided
Abby.
Yeah, we want Ronda Rousey as Abby, you know?
No, that's the stunt double. That's the stunt double. Whenever it doesn't show her face, it's just the person's like normally large, and it's a man. like there we go. That's it.
Right.
I think Nathan froze again.
Oh no. We shocked him again.
I know, we shocked him again.
I know the whole John Cena thing. But yeah,
John,
no, that would have been good.
Cena. No, so yeah, no, so overall, I'm actually pretty okay with a lot of the casting choices. I think they make a lot of sense. Um, Abby's. I mean, I've already seen some reaction videos, and everyone's like, "I don't give a shit about any of these people. Like, I don't want them to win. Like, I already don't like them." And
Yeah.
and one, and I'm hoping Nathan freezes it, but one of the things that I'm also really digging is this already like I totally forgot because I haven't played this game since it came out like what 4 years ago, 5 years ago,
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
5 years ago, and I
Mhm.
totally forgot that like Ellie and Joel were on good terms, like right before he
Yeah.
died. Because in the
Yeah.
game they don't show that; they kind of show,
They
like
show
Abby.
like the steps later on, but
Yeah,
yeah.
you find out that like the source of that tension and the tension later, and so I'm like, why are we acting like this? And then it took me a second. It was, I think, until the therapy session, I was like, oh, I forgot they revealed that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
I
Dina
was like,
mentioned too, like, hey, she's like, why does Ellie hate you? And he's like, is that what she said or whatnot? And I wonder, and I was talking with Nate about this. I wonder if we're going to get the flashback stuff this season, or are we going to get that next season?
yeah, oh, that's a good point.
Because you know how they showed the trailer. Now that we know there's a season 3 already, what they showed, is that part of the season, or did they throw in some stuff that we're going to see next season? That's the thing.
Yeah, the question is, what could be the cutoff? I think, well, the most obvious cutoff to me is post conflict with Abby and Ellie. Like
Oh,
they have
like
their fight,
at the theater? Yeah,
yeah, at the theater, and then I swear, like after that, it's like a whole nother game because
that's true. Yeah.
you have Ellie with Dina with the kid, and then you have obviously Abby going to what is it, Santa Barbara, and
Yep.
then Ellie goes back. That could be a whole
Hey,
other
hey,
thing right there.
I told Nate about this, and you're going to laugh. I hope in the show. Do you remember the scene when they're in Santa Barbara for the first
Oh my
time, and
god.
Abby and that little kid is by the garage, and the thug
Yep.
throws against the garage door and hits his head and fucking falls like a fucking rag doll? I hope they throw that in the show where he hits his head, it goes flying backwards. Like it was just so funny. I know I should have laughed, but it was like the most funny shit I've seen in a video.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nathan.
Welcome
So,
back.
welcome back. You want us to go off video? Would that
Yeah.
help?
Try it. Just try it real quick.
Yeah, they can
Let's.
still hear you guys.
Yeah, I can still hear you too. Okay, we're all dark now.
That's okay. We'll just put our faces.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Here, let me correct it over here. Do that.
At least we tried it out, though.
Yeah, I'm like, there were patches where I'm glad you guys were still talking, but like there were patches where I couldn't hear you guys, but I could see the audio levels like still showing. I'm like, is it my mic? I'm like, hello? And then I changed to desktop audio and I'm like, why can't I fucking hear them? You guys couldn't hear me the whole time, right?
No, we couldn't.
Yeah,
We were
okay.
just
So
frozen.
something was going on. But anyways, catch me up when you guys were talking about the theater, like what led into that discussion?
We're talking about where the cutoff was going to be, because I was telling Jacob, you know how we saw
For
the
the season?
trailer? Yeah, for the season, because I told him, we know that there's going to be season 3, and you know how they gave us the trailer? What they showed in trailer, how much of it was in season 2 and season 3? And then that's when Jacob was like, maybe the cutoff is going to be right after they do the fight in the theater, is what he was saying. So
Yeah, it seems like the most obvious choice because you have a whole. It's an easy cutoff, and then you have like a time jump where Dina has her kid, and then there's like a whole episode or two just on that farm, and then you got the whole Santa Barbara thing, which that could be a whole
yeah,
season in itself.
Yeah,
Like
because
the reuniting. Yeah.
yeah, because in the game you set off on your journey and then you're already there. And you only find out about Ellie's journey through Vegas by reading the journal. So they can totally put some stuff that we didn't even see in the game in the second part of the show. But I do think that a good ending point would be the theater, But if we're thinking about that in sense of like where the game took place, you have to remember like the game went like the first half as alternating between Abby and Ellie in the first part, and then you're playing as Ellie for 3 days, and then it cuts over to Abby replaying the 3 days. So it's like obviously I think they'll do that differently in the show um, before they even get to Santa Barbara. But
Do you think it'll be a cliffhanger? Like, do you think they'll cut it off right as what was it? Like her friend walks through the door and gets shot. Do you think they'll do that?
here's the other thing: if they don't end it there, they'll end it a lot sooner than we think.
If
Because real
I'll be disappointed if they do that. 'Cause I don't see an obvious conflict that's gonna conclude the season. That's not like Abby and Ellie.
Well, here's the thing to consider. The last act of the game is the whole like Seraphite war, which I also thought was
True.
kind of I also thought was kind of unnecessary. But if Eugene is going, no, not Eugene. If Isaac is going to be a forward playing character in this show, if you remember, like in the game, he was hyped up to be this like big deal, and then was kind of underutilized because he was in like literally like two scenes. And then his character is just, you know, done for. So I
Yeah.
feel like maybe they can discuss the growing tensions between the WLF and the serfs, the scars, I should say.
Oh
And
man,
maybe
I'm
we see,
so excited
maybe
for Scars.
I,
Oh,
yeah, I know,
know.
dude. Once they start the whistling, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
here we go. And I actually like honestly, like going back to earlier in this episode, when Ellie and Dina are on patrol, and they and Ellie falls into that she well before she even falls in the area, they grab the glass bottle to distract the enemy. I'm like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, Game Lord,
Yeah.
here we go.
And they already showed I forgot. They already or I already forgot, but they already
Good move,
showed the stalker, which I
good move,
was
by
Yep.
the way.
Early. Yeah.
What did you think, Jacob? Were you okay with it or no? You
well,
want
I've
to
always
deal with
been
it later?
skeptical of that creature type. I felt like that was just a game mechanic like expansion rather than like actual like I felt like it conflicted with the world building. I'm like, how is it that it can be intelligent like this? And like how could the strand go like that? But I'm not gonna I'm just gonna if it's not a major critical turning point, I'll just leave it alone.
Let
I
them
think
eat
we're.
their cake.
I'm thinking we're getting a new variant for this for the show because just the pipe scene that we get, like with that. So
Yes.
people are already saying that's a new type of variant, and I'm curious to see if how that plays out because obviously there's one more huge variant that we're going to get later on, of course, but we'll see how that one in the town kind of works out, you know?
In the town? Oh, just like in the
Yeah.
sewer pipes? Yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a good callback to the first season when I think it's like episode 2 when it's the three characters, Joel, Tess, and Ellie going to the Capitol building. And down below from the rooftops, they're looking down at like all the resting like runners. And you remember like the web of fungus that was
Yeah.
around, and they were saying like these tendrils can like, or yeah, this fungus can like detect sound, and what was it like, detect one of their own fallen within like a mile away,
Yeah, something
mile,
like
mile and a
that.
half away. It's only referenced that one episode, so maybe this is a callback, and now it's like growing, like it's spreading over a larger area over these 5 year gaps. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Be,
Well, it's a lot of setting up.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was just a lot of setup on this episode. Writing was good. I think that the struggle you're always going to get is that when you've already for any kind of adaptation, if you're going to go real, like if you're going to honor it, like word for word or almost like scene for scene, then it almost you start to kind of be technical and you start to break down the scenes and you're like, oh, you made the scene as plot movement, like to move plot, like this. You're like almost like you're looking at it from like as a technical writer, like, oh, the purpose of this scene is to show this and to add this, rather than have it be a little bit more organic.
Hmm.
I think that's kind of going into a broader philosophical debate about like adaptations, but I think I was struggling a little bit with that because I kept being like, oh, you're adding this to build this and have this and get this set up. Whereas
Yeah.
instead of me being like, oh, I'm just in the scene. Um, so I liked, what was it? I mean, I liked the world building. I really liked, the set designs. Um,
Of the
there were,
town.
yeah, they also did some little like montagey scenes that made you feel like the town was alive. Yeah, the whole
And
pipe.
it's bigger too.
Yeah, and it's bigger, and they're trying to expand it, and they're talking about like, oh, there's people, we don't have enough houses, we need to build faster, and I'm like, oh wow, I mean, that is a good point. Um,
I do like that joke that Joel has, like, oh yeah, we have this little knob here for productivity. Just raise it up, and then we work faster.
oh yeah.
But I did like what Maria had to say to him, like after their whole discussion, and then Joel interacting with with the kid as he's leaving. She told him, like, remember, like, you were a refugee at one point, and we brought you in. And
Yep.
he's like, yep, fair point, like, touche.
I did not appreciate the fucking back talk that both Ellie and Dina did towards their pack, like their scout leader. And I'm like, dude, me and Nicole were both sitting there like,
Oh.
man, fuck these kids. Like, go ahead, go in there and get bit. Like, you don't talk to like your group like they just were totally disregarding like any kind of authority. Which a part of me is like, you know what? I bet you that would be more common.
It
Like,
is, yeah.
in,
Especially in the zombie apocalypse, people are going to go their own way, and it's almost like the whole Darwinism, where it's like, okay, you're going to get those people that are going to search out the danger, and that's that, you know.
I think Ellie has an advantage over everyone else only because she's immune. So I think that's
oh
why
my
And
she's so
god.
stubborn.
I want to ask you guys this. Speaking of that, what did you think about her getting bit again? Like,
I didn't really care for it personally, but I'll be curious to see how they use that scene for a purpose.
I have an idea. And so you guys remember in the game when Ellie finally tells Dina that she's immune by taking off her mask? I'm wondering if she's going to use that bite to show Dina that she's immune. Because I know she kind of cut it, she kind of cut the wound, sewed it up, but she can still kind of say, hey, I got bit and I'm fine instead of doing that route. But at the same time, I did hear we're getting spores in this season. So
Mhm.
I'm kind of thinking and trying to see like what they want to do with that, like her game bit again right off the bat.
Well, if you remember in the game, the Ellie and Dina are together, like during this like snowstorm. They take refuge in like Eugene's hideout. They do share like a few moments, and Ellie even says like, "Oh, like one of my secrets is that I'm immune. I can't get infected, and this is a bite on my arm that I covered up with it." And Dina doesn't take her seriously. So technically, she even hinted at it sooner.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know, Jacob. What were your thoughts on the bite?
I'm a little conflicted because it's been like 4 years. I feel like it
But
was. I feel like the social and tension dynamic was only for the audience. I don't feel like it was like actually rational because within
mhm.
4 years' time, you're telling me that she's never gonna have an encounter like that. Okay,
Oh yeah,
um,
true.
but for the audience, that time jump you kind of lose frame of reference, especially when you're watching a show. So they need to add an emotional stake of like, oh, I mean, she's not infected, but like she still has to hide a secret. And so
the
it's the tension of hiding the secret
Right.
from other
mhm.
people.
Yeah.
And it's more like the audience needs to know that that's a thing. Um, because they might not be considering that. So I think it was a very like obvious like, hey, by the way, this variable still exists and this is what she's doing to like compensate for that. So I felt like that was more to like add justification.
Okay. I totally see your point. I think it would also be reinforced if they had multiple multiple doings of that when she lifted her shirt to like, cut herself to hide the bite marks. Like it would have made more sense if it had shown like, oh, she's done this a few times, you know. But I
True.
don't know. We'll see. I do feel
Yeah.
like it's gonna get noticed, whether it be by Dina or someone else. Like I do feel like it's there intentionally. I did want to say, like, as far as acting goes, the one scene with Pedro Pascal and Catherine O'Hara, like his little like session, I liked when she said like tell your truth, and obviously he's like taken a bit. But then you see him like stand, like you see him like look up at her, like, almost like a glare. Like once he's got it in like the front of his mind, he's like, okay, and gets up and he's like, I saved her. And then you see like that one tear as he like walks away with his clenched fist. I'm like, that's good. I
Well,
like
do
that
you
scene a
think
lot.
the reason that he did the glare at first, did you think that she was like he was thinking that she was referring to him killing her husband at that point?
Thinking a completely different thing here.
Oh,
Maybe I
really?
totally misinterpreted this scene. I mean, the whole conflict at the end of season 1 is, okay, Ellie has to die to save basically everyone for a vaccine. Like, well,
Hmm.
that's the concept. And he's like, I'm going to, like, in terms of the moral conflict, it's like, do you let someone you truly care about die to save the world? And most people were kind of like, yeah, you like save the world kind of thing. And he does the selfish route. But so he does, it's like a half selfish route because he's basically like keeping the world in the current state, which is awful and violent and miserable, but he's saving someone. And then on top of that, she's questioned. No, this is the point where she's figured it out. You know, it's I saved you, and she's mad at him because she didn't get to fulfill her purpose or her destiny because she feels
Hmm.
like this is something that I get to
Yeah.
fulfill, and you've now robbed that of me. So now I hate you.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I did this to save you because I care about you, but because I did that, you don't care about me because you feel like your destiny was taken away from you. Like I almost like I took your life away. I took your purpose." And but he can't talk about that with anyone because it puts her in danger. So she's like,
Oh,
say the
that's
truth. And
right.
his truth he wants to have is saying, oh, yeah, I killed all these people because she could have been a cure, but she would have died. And I wanted to save her, but I basically fucked over the world of any chance of curing this thing. And she hates me. Like, and that's why he's like, I saved her. Like, if you look at it at the core of it, I still saved you. Like, I saved your life. I think your life is worth more than all these people. And
Hmm.
Ellie doesn't
Yeah.
even agree with that, and that's the person who she literally saved. Like, can you imagine? It's like the classic Incredibles thing where he's like, "Oh, I saved this guy from killing himself," and he goes, "Well, Mister So and So didn't want to be saved," and it's like,
Yep.
"Why are you getting
Oh,
mad at me?"
yeah. That's
It's like
right.
I
I totally
saved your.
forgot about that.
So the only person, like the number one person that at the very root of it that should give him validation for that choice is her, and she's like, "No, like you took away my destiny. I hate you." And so, like you're so isolated, and you can't talk about it with anyone because you still care for her, and she doesn't like appreciate it, and because like she can't talk about it because or he can't talk about it because he still cares for her and still wants to protect her. Like he's not going to
Hmm.
throw away that idea of, oh, like I don't care about her anymore. Like let her die for a cure. No, he's gone when he made that choice. He's fully committed to making sure she stays alive. So he can't express it. Immediately, that puts her in danger, and that'll also have everyone question his own sanity. Where it's like, why did you do that? Like everyone might hate him, and she might get killed for it, and he might get killed for it. So she's like, "Tell your truth," because she knows he's hiding something, and he just kind of tries to be the nice guy, and he's like, "I saved her, and everyone, she hates me for it, and everyone's gonna hate me for it if I tell the truth." That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth she's trying to find because he's like kind of giving other things to talk about when she clearly knows
Yeah.
there. That's not really what's on your mind, but I don't know what it is. Sorry, that's
Uh-huh.
my rant.
No, no, no,
No,
no.
that was good. And you know
It's a
what?
perfect, yeah, it's a perfect clarified point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to think about too, like let's say he did tell her what he did, you know that lady has a mouth. Like I know things are supposed to be locked behind closed doors as a therapist, but think about this, if he would have told her because he killed her husband, you know for sure she would have told every single person what he did.
Oh, I mean, I think everyone but Joel would do that because they're all like, "Oh, you're telling me we have a cure? Like we can do something to get a cure to like get us out of this mess?
Oh yeah.
What are we doing?" Like
Yeah.
so many people would be like, and what's the worst part? It's a selfish decision, even though it comes off as not being selfish, because I bet you, because Ellie doesn't know the whole time. They're just like, oh, you're gonna go and take some blood and get a cure. They don't even tell her when she
Mhm.
goes under. I bet
No.
you, if you still asked Ellie, like, hey, we found a way for your cure, but you're gonna have to die. A part of her would be like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to do this, but then another part of her is like, you know what? Like, that's my destiny, and I'm gonna do this. I'm all for it. They didn't even get to let her decide her fate.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
So
true. I totally forgot that they just put her under and she had no say. And they didn't even tell her that they were going to extract her brain because that's the whole core of it is, you
yeah,
know.
Well, and that's the other. I mean, and the other missing detail right before that interaction when she's brought to the hospitals and the Fireflies care is she was unconscious when she got there because she was like near death from drowning. So they literally just got her, put her on a table, and
Wait,
then
did we get the drowning in the show? I thought we only got the
no,
smoke bomb. Yeah,
we
we
just
only
got
got
yeah.
yeah,
But that's just what I'm saying. Like in this
right,
one, it's
yeah.
different. But I don't know. In this show, they they didn't show that either. They got like stunned and then brought in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the little smoke grenade that went off and then boom, they're at the Fireflies thing or whatnot.
Unless they add like a flashback in this show, because it's very possible to have a scene with Marlena. Is it no Marlene?
Mm-hmm.
Marlene and Ellie talking at the hospital in the for the show's like a connected universe. I wonder if we'll get that, but I have a good chance that she was unconscious the whole time
Yeah.
until she woke up in the Jeep on their way back to Jackson.
Hey, maybe they show it when they do like the whole Abby flashback to the hospital at some point, maybe.
They must. I think they will.
100% they will, because they have to
Yeah.
explain why she exists.
Yeah.
I'm just curious they actually show um if they actually show the boat the boat scene. I don't know if they're gonna do it in the show. I
Ah,
think they're gonna imply that they
yeah.
have a moment.
Yeah.
But then again, it is HBO.
Yeah. HBO, gotta love
Anyways,
them.
it's
Can't
it's
wait till
HBO.
Harry Potter, right?
It's oh my god, it's HBO. It's not Skinamax.
Oh, we were
But
just joking about that. Like any kind of HBO like show, it's like season 1, season 2, nudity all over the
yep.
place, and then season 7, it's like I'm not showing you my left shoulder.
Oh god.
all right, what do you guys thinking? Like, do you think the next episode will be it?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so
it'll be
too.
yeah, it has to. You have there's so
Yeah.
much you have to move through. You have to basically get that done.
Yeah.
Um, I'll be disappointed if they don't. Like, because
Yeah.
this episode was already like just set up, and so I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with that as long as next episode we get we actually thought it was going to be this episode that something was going to
Right.
happen, but
Yeah, because I was
Yeah.
going back and forth too, but because once it got to what was it, the community event, the dance, once it got to that scene, I kind of had a feeling that it would end on the porch, and we would get that scene that we all know, or if it ends with them seeing Abby, and that's how it ends up. That's how it ends up playing out, which I thought was a really good play because like the last time we see, it's actually like the first time, right? The first time we see Abby, they're like talking as a group over the graves, and then
Yeah.
Owen convinces her like, "Hey, like we can meet up with this group. They have resources that can we can gear up and maybe give them the lead on what we have, and they can help us." So I kind of like that the episode ended with Abby's like determined face going into Jackson. Like I think next episode is going to be really good.
That's the thing that would suck, and I hope they do go through what they want to do for episode 2. But do you think for TV purposes, would they do the flashback first with Joel and Ellie doing the zoo thing
no,
or whatnot? And
no,
then
The
I
zoo
you
thing?
don't think so?
no,
No.
no. I think they have to be honest. There's a lot of like like it doesn't seem like it where they're like, oh, she's up in the mountains and it's the town's right there, but the setup to get to that point, they're gonna end with him
Yeah.
dying. And there's still a lot of work to be done to like logically make sense of like, okay, how is it that these two get together?
Right. Yeah.
And that's going to be a lot of plotting that I think will take up a big. They will probably push that. I mean, maybe, but I just don't see how they can do it.
Yeah.
Well, and if you remember, the way that Joel and Abby meet in the game is literally like Abby's alone trying to run from the infected, and then Joel and Tommy just happen to be there to help her up. And it's like, okay, are they gonna
Yeah.
go that same route? I hope not. I don't know, because you have to think like they're gonna have to take time to find out, like seek out the lodge. Maybe that could be a whole scene if you think about it. Maybe it'll show them like clearing a few runners and then securing this lodge and then staking out the area, but then showing that Abby is like restless and wants to go, and no, and everyone's like, no, we're not going. Like we just got here. Like we're not going back out. Like just wait. And then maybe that's when Abby goes alone. Like I still think that they can follow the game pretty on point, but I hope they change the way that Abby runs into Joel and Tommy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Here's
Like I hope it's like more fluid than what the game gave us.
and I feel like I should wait to withhold this opinion for the next episode to see what happens, but I'm just gonna state that I don't feel that when before the scene happens with Joel, that Joel and Tommy acted like completely different characters in the game. Like they had no regard for like that survival instinct that they relied on over those
Oh
years.
yeah, I
It was
agree with
so
you.
so
Yes.
out
That's
of
right.
character for them, because right away without knowing their names, it's like, oh yeah, hey, like you guys seem like a good crew. Like why don't you head back to our camp and we can set you up with some simple gear
Yeah, they
and
totally dropped
set
their
you on your way.
defenses. Yeah.
And then it's not until they learns like Joel right away is willing to give his name and Tommy and say where they're from. Like you think after being in that community for say in the game's sake 4 years that you're already like a domesticated cat. You know what I mean? Like you're not used to going out. Like they still go on patrols. They know how bad it still is. Joel still knows how bad like people can be. He's even expressed it in the show, like with the refugees talking with Maria. Like, you also have to keep in mind, like to protect what you have, like to protect your own, and not let everyone in that is looking for a place to hide. Because maybe that can also be a growing conflict that happens throughout this expansion. Maybe one of those refugees are not good. Maybe they're a hunter in disguise.
I just hope for our sake though that when they do that scene, they
Do do.
don't. I know. I just hope. God damn it. I just hope they don't do what The Walking Dead did with the whole Negan thing, where
Oh, fuck.
where she hits him, hits him, and then we get a fucking black screen or something. I want them to kind of fully flesh that out, and then we go from there. So
I wonder. I want to make a prediction.
okay,
What percentage of viewership do you think will go down when that episode gets aired?
a
How
good
many people
chunk,
do you?
a good chunk.
I do. I do
Because here's
think
the
it'll
thing,
have a
you
negative
have
backlash.
here's the thing, you have the audience who's never played the games, and then you have the people who have played the games, and then you have kind of the super loyalist groups, I guess, like the super hardcore fans. I think you're going to lose the ones that probably played the games, maybe, but not necessarily the ones that stuck around for the whole thing. Because it's fine. I've had a couple friends who actually stopped playing when they, killed them off because they said, "Okay, then what's the point of The Last of Us?" And I'm like, dude, and it's interesting now. The people who quit the game are excited for this season. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see how you do now.
Hmm.
I think they'll lose a good chunk, but not enough where it's going to hurt the show.
I I see. I don't know. Like I don't know if it'll be.
I don't know. A lot of people like Pedro Pascal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
why I'm saying
know.
that's why I'm saying that, because he's in everything right now. He's one of America's sweethearts. He not only that, but he was like cast in almost like every movie of this year.
Yeah, and
So it's like,
yeah.
see, he's in fucking everything. He's got a steady paycheck. Don't worry. Like he's doing fine. But I'm just saying, like, I think there will be, I think there will be some sort of backlash for those that don't know what to expect.
Right.
And then once they see it and how gruesome they want it to be, because they already kind of foreshadowed
That's the whole
karma
thing. How
with
gruesome
Eugene.
are they going to get? Because, like I said, with The Walking Dead and the Negan episode, that was gruesome enough for people to just totally taper off and stop watching the show. Like it definitely that whole show kind of tanked after that whole scene. Like I stuck through it all, but a good I'll say 70% fucking dipped after I think by season 8, season 9. But yeah, we'll see what they do.
Shit,
It
I
was
dropped a
also
lot sooner
season
than
8, season 9, but I think it's just because they killed such a I mean, it's because they killed a really beloved character, and I think it was just so outside of what the normal tone of the show was
Right, yeah.
that people were like, "Nope, I'm." And also
done,
the
yeah.
way they did it, they kind of really rubbed it in your face, and it was just like, all right.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, season 3 was one of the best seasons because they finally ended Andrea's character. Fuck that bitch. I was so happy that episode. Do you remember, Jacob?
Yeah.
It sucked because I read the comics and Andrea is such a badass, and then in this one they made her such a hateable character where I was just like, "Fuck!" I'm like, "When's she going to fucking die, dude?"
I don't know, I just didn't really care for it. Anyways, back to this show. I don't know. I'll be curious. I do think it happens next episode. But I will, like, going back to my point of where they might end it. Do you guys really think that this whole season she'll be able to cover all 3 days in Seattle?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Because a lot of that's just gameplay. You could totally do like 2 birds with 1 stone.
Okay.
I think you could.
Oh, and
I
you know what's
don't know.
funny?
I just see so I don't see any other place to end it other than that theater conflict.
Right. Yeah. It was such a good cutoff because that's where they both kind of meet.
Yeah.
I think I think another now at what point of the theater, like the when Abby storms in or after Abby leaves and spares Ellie?
That's the thing. Is it worse?
I think that would be a better point to end it.
I think it should be the leaves and end it.
Yeah.
I still think that should go down.
Or
Personally.
do they do the shot and then end it like where she opens the door where she hears the
But
fighting?
that's what I'm saying. Like as soon as she
Yeah, it's-
enters or after she leaves, like what would be a better send off?
I kind
After
of
she leaves is
I
where I'm at.
almost want to see them fight and where Ellie gets her ass handed to her though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that'd be a good send off because then it's like, okay, we're left with this character who's now completely broken, not just broken mentally, but now physically a little bit. Like she's like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with, and this is the consequence or whatnot. Because let's say they do show the fight, that means we're getting obviously the one death, of course, and then we won't know what happens to Tommy as well because they don't really show him until later on. So if they put all that together and they leave like let's say Ellie on the ground in the back, then yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. But I was telling Nate this, Jacob, when they start season 3, what would be cool is that they do a close up of Ellie playing the guitar, but they don't show her index finger yet. They just show a couple of her fingers strumming the guitar. So that way it's kind of like, certain times pass, but yeah, it kind of foreshadows it. Yeah.
Here's the big, well, I mean, the big question we won't know for a couple of years at least, because we don't know if season 3 is going to come out next year, which I hope it will, or in 2 years. We can wrap this up. But did you guys have any last impressions or any last words?
I'm curious to see what this pipe growth has to offer because
Yeah.
I don't remember that. And then
No, it's something new.
that's
Yeah.
something new. And
Yeah, they want
then
to introduce a new variant, I think. So we'll see what that kind of encompasses a little bit.
When you mean variant, you mean like you're
A
not talking
new
about the
type.
spores?
No, not just the spores. I believe, and it's just a theory going around. People are thinking we're getting introduced to a new variant. So, like, you know how we have the stalker, and then obviously
The
the one at
bloater, the
the
runner,
bloater,
the
and
clipper.
obviously I'll just say the king thing, but they're thinking that this is going to be something completely brand new, something new for TV. So I'm curious what they do with it. So
Yeah, maybe it has something to do with that sewer pipe. I'm hoping so. Because that was like vaguely shown. But it's got to have some importance if they're showing us the first episode.
Maybe
What
they're
you
trying to
think?
figure out like plumbing, or that. I mean, I don't know if that's what. I don't think that's water, but I think that's just general like sewage.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Sewage, yeah.
I think it looks like more sewage, but I'm not a plumber. I couldn't tell you. I don't
Yeah,
work
me
for the
neither,
city.
dude. I don't work any pipes, you know. I don't know what the hell that's probably hooked up to, so we'll have to see.
Alrighty. Well, thanks guys. This was a lot of fun. Tune in next time for episode 2. Take care.